meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to welcome everybody to the school board meeting. Just as a reminder, we are live streaming the meeting this evening. Welcome those who are joining us via the web as well. We'll start the meeting tonight with a motion to accept consent agenda items. I have a motion by Chelsea. Do I have a second? Second by Cheryl. Any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0. Next, we'll ask if there's anyone present who would like to speak to any item that's on the agenda or any other item. Hearing none, we'll go down under old business. We have some Neola policies.
Yes, asking for approval of this batch of Neola policies as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion by Travis. Do I have a second? Second by Mary Lynn. Any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0. Next we have down under programs, we have certified staff evaluations.
Yes, I'm asking for approval. We worked with JCCTA on some improvements and edits for this year, and I'm just asking for approval that I shared with you last time.
Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion by Kurt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Travis. Any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0. Next we have an enrollment update.
Yes, just wanted to update you on enrollment. I'll do this standardly for a while. As of last Friday, our enrollment was 3,606 students. That's actually 18 students more than where we ended the year at in May, but it is 103 students less than the beginning of the year of the school year of 24-25. And in some positive news, I want to share that our kindergarten cohort is actually almost 20 students more than what we had last year in kindergarten. So we're seeing 260 in that group. Our largest two cohorts of kids are 6th grade and 10th grade. Those are both above 320.
Great. That item wasn't informed. Does anyone have questions for Nikki?
Are those numbers that are up 18, or is that pretty much across the board, or we didn't see any outliers on schools as far as?
That's a great question. So I know that by overall, I'll need to pull kindergarten for it to come back on that. But Scipio's enrollment's up overall. High school's holding very steady, and most of the others are holding steady. I think Hayden might be up a couple kids, but kindergarten specifically, let me pull that for you and bring it back.
Thanks, Nikki. Next, we'll move down to finance. We have the 2026 JCSC budget.
Yes, this is our second version. As it gets it on the screen there. All right, next slide. Second slide is the calendar. That has not changed since last time, so those are still on pace to meet all those parameters. Next one, you'll see us change from version 1. It is the education fund is up $180,000 from the last time we met due to fine-tuning all of the extra parameters when it comes to the basic grant. You know, a variety of things between the honors diploma, SPED, CTE courses, and things like that. It's up $180 from the last time we met 2 weeks ago. That's it for that one. With that being said, there's no changes to this because that slight increase, we're not going to advertise the education any higher. It should stay steady. Next slide, no changes in this either. This basically outlines everything that's out of the education fund. Next slide indicates everything in the ops fund. Next slide indicates what happens in the debt service fund. And the cash balance history hasn't changed, obviously, since this is all historical data. And the next slide shows how that has shifted around in the last couple years. That hasn't changed either. Rainy day, this slide is still the same as the first one. And the next slide of debt service, again, this hasn't changed yet. This may change in the third shot on it 2 weeks from now, but this is just staying steady with what we're currently setting at. The next one, this slide changed again by the increase in the 180,000, taking it to 32,528,000, based on our updated basic grant information. Next slide didn't change. And this slide did change. What I've tried to do with this one is to make it a little easier to read. So I just rounded all the numbers to the nearest million and 100,000s when it comes to the change. So basically what this is trying to say is our current AV is 1.167 million, or 1.167 billion is what our current AV is. Our levy operations revenue is at 0.8342, so that takes us around 9.7. What this is saying is if we had a drop in our AEV of 167 million, which is take it down to an even billion, we would see it drop to 8.3 million, which would be a $1.4 million drop, with the rate staying the same. So that's all this is trying to relay is what would effect be if it happens to drop. We're not sure where this is going to end up just yet. We'll know that by next meeting most likely. So that's all for that slide. I've updated this slide to basically as a slight increase. It was at 1.068, now it's at 1.075. That is based on our initial understanding 2 weeks ago was that we're going to see a drop in our AV. What similar people in our situation, their AVs are already out at about 40 other school districts. What we're seeing from a state standpoint is, and policy analytics is helping us with this obviously, they're not seeing that drop happen. They're seeing a potential slight increase. So last meeting I had a 1.1% drop. This meeting has a 0.6% increase. Not huge, but basically staying flat, going up very slightly is what this slide shows. I added this slide to the mix that wasn't here last time. And what this does, it basically explains that correlation between the tax rate and the tax levy. So if the tax rate's held constant, we don't change anything with the tax rate. As assessment goes up, the levy goes up. As assessment goes down, the levy goes down. But we're gonna be in probably an in-between area here. What could potentially happen here is if the assessed value increases less than the growth quotient, which is the 4% where we have that built into the budget. If it comes where less than the growth quotient, which right now I'm predicting it to be about 0.65, we will see, if we did nothing with the actual rate itself, we would not be maximizing our budget in essence. We wouldn't be maximizing the levy that we would need to run the place. On the other side of the screen, you're going to see if the levy is held constant, then as the assessed value increases, the tax rate would drop. And as the assessed value drops, the tax rate increases. So again, we're going to be in an in-between area. So in our case, if the assessed value increases less than the growth quotient, the tax rate would still increase. So currently at 0.6, being less than 4, we would see a slight increase in the tax rate to try to keep our levy constant. Any questions on this slide? Since this is a new one in particular. All right. Next up is a slide update to this one. And what I did to this one is tried to put a very high level Senate bill effect. So Senate Bill 1 will affect the tax collected in 2026, mainly because of the deduction changes and the supplemental credit that the state built into. Typically on a tax change, you wouldn't see that take effect for another year. Like an assessed value change, you don't see it take effect the next year, it's always the year after. In this case though, because of the Senate bill, there will be amount collected in 2026 will be less currently because of the deduction change and the supplemental credit. I just wanted to bring awareness to that. No change in this slide from last time. The next slide, you're going to see a slight change here. When I brought this to you last time, it was 1.2432. You see it's down to 1.22. This is a reflection of that AV changing from potentially going down 1.1 to now potentially increasing 0.65. But you'll see, even though it went up 0.65, since it's below the growth quotient, that's why you see the slight increase from last year's of 1.18 to 1.22. So a 4-point change there. Next slide didn't change. And the next slide is basically what we're currently set to advertise, and there's no change in that slide either. Any questions on the changes from last week, or last meeting to this meeting? All right. With that being said, we'll move on to the capital project plan. Which capital project plan, the detail, none of the details have changed from the last detail you have. There is a slight change to this one because I had some dates wrong last meeting. So there's the adopted calendar, and it is actually correct this time. And the next slide, there is no change in. Those all just match the detail of what's on our current list. Any questions for the capital project plan? All right, next up is the bus replacement plan. And no change to the second slide, which is the calendar. We're still on pace for that. A slight change on this one. I had the dates wrong last meeting on it said 25th through 29th. It's actually 26th through the 30th. And then the last year it showed it going down, or the first year showed it going down, and it's actually 377 for all 5 years. Any questions on the bus replacement plan?
So hearing no additional questions, again, under finance, I think you're asking for
Yes.
permission.
I'd like to ask permission to advertise the budget, capital project plan, and the bus replacement plan on September 4th. Basically, so I can get it in the paper on the 5th is what we're trying to do here to stay on the calendar. So I'm asking permission this meeting to advertise the budgets.
So we'll entertain a motion. Motion by Travis. Do I have a second? Second by Mary Lynn. Any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0. Next, we'll move down under new business. We have some Neola policies.
Another set of Neola for first reading. Please reach out if you have any questions or would like any further details.
This item isn't informed, so again, just make sure you review those policies. Under programs, we have a summer meal program.
I just wanted to share some good news. This summer, we had a pilot summer meal program. We were able to hand out free meals to students, children. We served 2,387 students through that program. It was very successful. We hope to offer it again in the future. We actually had open enrollment, which meant children from other communities, even other states, could come get the meals if they would like to. That was very successful. We were able to operate it in a fiscally responsible manner, and it was a wonderful resource. And I want to particularly say thanks to Stacy Green for bringing this to our community, and then to Nola Hostetler, Autumn Fishboat, and our food service employees for making it so successful. We actually already had an audit, and they passed that even with flying colors. So across the board, it was just a wonderful program.
And as a side note to that, the auditor that came today was just about as excited as Stacy was to be able to do it. They were so glad that Stacy was willing to. And they pulled me aside and basically told me that not everybody does this, even though it's available. And they were just super excited that she was willing to take on that task.
We have a lot of kids come from other communities, or do we have any way of tracking that?
She didn't tell me the numbers. I know being Stacy, she's very detailed that she did, but she shared some anecdotal stories. One was a family that the kids were in they were with their dad over the summer, and so they lived somewhere else during the year, so they took advantage. Another was a family that was on vacation, and they had mapped the places and across the state that had the sites for while they were traveling to still be able to get that option for their family. So those were two stories she shared, but she did mention there were a handful.
Well done.
And that equated to about 24,000 meals, since it was 10
That's
per.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. That's newspaper worthy. Okay, I'm just sharing. Yeah. You pick what you want, but that's newspaper. Annual school improvement plans.
This is just to inform, I've shared with you our school improvement plans. School teams got together over the summer to review their goals and their plans for this school year. So if you have any questions, please reach out.
Great. Again, that is an inform. Any questions for Carrie? Next, we have an assessment update.
This assessment update is for 24-25 school year. So these would be for assessments that were taken last school year. All that data becomes finalized and is released over the summer and in August. So, and this data only reflects K through 8, so we'll share a separate high school presentation another time. And I'll try not to jump in too much, but we are just so proud of our students and our staff for all their hard work. They have made a lot of strategic improvements driven through individual building school improvement plans in the last 3 years, and you can really see those highlighted in some of the data. So super proud of our students and our staff.
So as a district, we saw ELA, math, science, and biology rates and pass rates increased across the district. We also saw performance in special ed and poverty groups showed growth in ELA and math. Super excited. We had 2 additional schools apply and receive STEM certification, Brush Creek and Scipio. So that brings 4 out of our 6 elementaries so far have received that, with hopes of the other 2 applying this year. And then all 6 of our 6 elementaries exceeded the state literacy IRE average, and we're super excited in that.
Something I'll mention about those subgroups, if you remember back in the pandemic, they released research that said the groups that would have the biggest impact from COVID would be students in poverty and special education, and then it would have an impact for many years to come. And so the fact that we're seeing those subgroups increase performance and that come back around, that's a lot of effort and a lot of hard work, but that's exciting because it means we're getting past that deficit that was created during COVID.
This chart shows the last 3 years of iLearn for the district, ELA, math, science, and we did throw a non-K through 8 biology in there because we're super excited about it. But as you can see, every year the rates have increased, and I'd like to point out, in a 2 years' time, science rate went from 32% to 42%, and biology went from 14 to 54%, so a 40% increase. And just like our iRead scores on the previous score, we've just put a lot of time and effort and professional development into reading and science and STEM, so we do see that paying off. And this chart is just a breakdown for the grade levels. The light green shows increases from the previous year, and the stars show where we are above state average. I would point out we do see 5th and 7th grade as 2 of our grade levels that have a little bit more of a struggle, and we do have some focused intervention, and we've talked about it in principals meetings. It's known that we are attacking those grades to try to help those students.
7th grade particularly, that transition to middle school is always tricky, and something they have put in place going forward. They have teaming, which is a smaller, close-knit experience for students in middle school. They stay with the same group of teachers who work closely with them and track their data and can work closely with parents with a team of teachers. And we are hoping that that will be a supportive transition to middle school, and that will help make a difference.
And on this chart, you'll see the breakdown between the schools, ELA and math percent proficient. If you look, Brush Creek, Graham Creek, and Scipio all are above state averages for ELA math proficiency, ELA just by itself, and then math by itself. And then the stars are all the schools who've increased from last year. I don't have those numbers on here, but they represent that each one of those areas have also been an increase from last year's test scores. And then we've touched upon our literacy rate. In 2022, 2023, we were at 77%. And then I'm so happy to say that last year as a district, we were at 91%. So in a 3 years period of time, we were at 14% in our iRead. And the next chart will show each school's. Everyone was above the state average. Our average as a district was 91.7%. And if you take a look at Scipio and Graham Creek, that is, the goal for the state was 95%, and those two schools are at 95 or above. But if you take a look, it's amazing the growth in all of our schools, and you can see the percent and change. And I will point out North Vernon, 15% in 1 year is huge. So just a lot of effort and a lot of work by our teachers and our student, a lot of parent support. We're really proud of these numbers and what it means for our kids in the future. What our action steps, we're continuing with our school improvement teams. They meet often, and we really take a look at our data and what steps we can improve. Professional development and mentoring for new and certified staff members. We have monthly meetings for any new staff member, for our new teachers. We still have 2 elementary schools that participate in the literacy cadre. The cool thing about that, though, not all the schools are involved in elementary, but those coaches share resources, and they are part of our PD. And so even though not all of our schools were able to participate, they are all still receiving the benefit of those coaches and what the resources we're able to put into that. Professional development on the science of reading just continued, increased and focused support for our subgroups. That's been so important for us, and we're seeing results for that. UDL and PBIS implementations strong in all the schools. Continue STEM programming and certification. Like I said, we hope 2 more apply this year, and we're working on that. iLearn checkpoint participation, we all participate in that now. So we're super excited about the improvements that we've seen this year, and hope just to continue on with them.
We will continue to work forward, and we're excited about this, but we're not done. We're gonna keep working forward. We will be ending a strategic plan this year, so over the course of the year, we'll be gathering data to start talking about what does that next 3-year cycle look like, and our schools will be giving that data to us so we can look at how do we keep growing, how do we keep moving forward. So it'll be part of that process.
Again, that item is an inform. Does anyone have questions for Carrie or Nikki? Hearing none, we have a Power School update.
Yeah, so the Indiana Department of Education adopted a new system to manage our IEPs. It's Power School. The program is called Special Programs. It has not been as smooth of a transition as we would like. So some of our special ed teachers are having to upload all of their previous IEPs into the system. So we are helping support some of our special ed teachers by giving them subs and things like that, giving them some time to do that at schools. But we are, it's an ever-changing process. The state is sending out new information. This past weekend, they sent out shell IEPs, so there are IEPs in the system that are putting accommodations in for iLearn checkpoints, so that gives a little bit of breathing room, but we are working to get all of our IEPs in the system. So parents, if you have any notifications or anything about an IEP being created, it is just us putting in the previous IEP, the previously accepted IEP. Just wanted to inform everyone on that.
Perfect. And I'm assuming if parents get that notification and have questions, they can reach out to you?
Yes, they can call their child's TOR, their teacher of
Okay.
record,
Okay.
their building principal, or myself or Mandy.
Great. Thank you. Next, we'll go down to STEM contacts for 2025-2026.
Yes, asking for approval of the STEM contacts as presented, please.
Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
A motion by Carol. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Kurt. Any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0. Next, extra contractual days for 2025-2026 school year.
Yes, and again, asking for approval, please, as presented for the extra contractual days listed.
We'll entertain a motion to approve those as written. Motion by Mary Lynn. Do I have a second? Second by Travis. Any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0. Administrative contracts.
Yes, asking for approval for their current contracts to roll over 25-26 school year. I would note, this is not any changes to salary or benefits prior to teacher negotiations. This is just extending through the school year, so we have those dates correct.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to extend those contracts as listed.
So moved.
Motion by Travis, do I have a second? Second by Mary Lynn, any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0. And now we're down to recommendations.
I have the first one, a recommendation for Todd Hearn, additional title as the JCSC District School Safety Specialist Coordinator, with up to 5 additional days a year. Asking for approval.
I have a motion by Chelsea, do I have a second? Second. Second by Cheryl, any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0. Now we're down to support staff under recommendations.
Yes, please, asking for approval of the following recommendations. Megan Brown as Sink Creek Elementary sped para, Colby Fording as the Jennings County High School main office student intern, Pilar Rivera as a Scipio Elementary custodian, and Bradley Wagner as a Jennings County School Corporation bus aide.
I entertain a motion to accept those recommendations as read.
So moved.
I have a motion by Kurt, do I have a second? Second. Second by Cheryl, any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0. Now we're down to finances, we have some donations.
Yes, I'm asking board approval for the following donations. Brush Creek Elementary, their Donut Miss School program. We've got Breaking Berries of Southern Indiana, $100. Gail and Viv Gines, $60, and Kiwanis, $75. Also, SNS Sidewalk, Dustin Sanders, Landscaping, Labor Material, estimated value between $400 and $500. And Student Snacks in memory of Linda Anglin, Jan and Scott Thayer for $25, and Mary Lynn Wickham for $100. Over at Graham, we've got the Coffee Creek Christian Church, $250 for student need. Hayden Elementary, Fidelity Charitables, $500 for student assistance. NVIC, $250 for the 4th grade class for the Wax Museum project. At the high school, Kiwanis, $75 to student PBIS fund for attendance incentives. And the corporation, we've got Christ Baptist Church, $300 to the Hope Food Program, and Kiwanis, $50 gift cards for each of the following teachers at various schools, one per school. We've got Dylan Boswell, Angie Sloan, Bailey Craddock, Hope Ferguson, Leslie Peacock, Holly Rose, Stacy Patterson, and Joe Kelly. And lastly, at Scipio, we've got Scipio United Methodist Church, $100 for student meal accounts, and Ariel Roberts Foundation, $100 for attendance incentives. Asking board for approval.
Entertain a motion to approve those donations as read.
So moved.
I have a motion by Travis, do I have a second?
Yes.
Second by Cheryl, any discussion? All those in, you good?
Abstain.
Okay. All those in favor? I have 5, and then 1 abstain. Mary Lynn abstained. Next, we're down to resolutions.
Yes, the following resolutions have to do with the bonding. So the first one is a resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds for the purpose of providing funds for corporation-wide long-term maintenance with a focus on the Brush Creek HVAC upgrade.
I entertain a motion to approve that resolution.
So moved.
I have a motion by Kurt, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mary Lynn, any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0.
And in coordinating with that one, the next resolution is a resolution authorizing the additional appropriation of the 2025 general obligation bond proceeds and interest.
I'll entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Chelsea, do I have a second? Second. Second by Cheryl, any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0. Now we're down under relations, we have an MOU.
Yeah, this is our MOU with Head Start for us to provide services at the Head Start building.
So moved.
Motion by Travis, do I have a second? Second by Chelsea, any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0. Another MOU.
Asking for approval for an MOU between Southeastern Indiana Workforce Development Board and River Valley Resources. They're who previously provided JAG program, just some transition in that program. Asking for approval of that MOU.
motion? Motion by Mary Lynn, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Kurt, any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0. Which brings us down to other.
No other.
Well, hearing nothing nothing else to be brought forward before the board, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Travis, do we have a second? Second by Chelsea, all those in favor?